understand we have possibly our next governor.
Yes, I think we do. Joining us now is the great Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Congresswoman, it's so great to have you back here on Katz and Cosby.
Great to be on your show. There is so much going on across the state, in New York City, and across the country and around the world.
By the way, you are a fighter, and I got to play this clip, John. This great exchange.
We loved you when you were exchanging in Washington.
Yeah, this is the sanctuary cities, and it was like Harvard times 2 when you went after Harvard. You were so great, Congresswoman. Here it is. We just want to play it to remind everybody because it was masterful.
You are not advocating on behalf of these victims. You are shielding illegals. Even in your opening statement, you prioritize putting illegals first.
That is not
Rapes
true.
of young girls, beatings of NYPD cops by illegals who are here under Kathy Hochul's failed policies, burning New Yorkers alive. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. It's one of the many reasons why you're hemorrhaging support from hardworking New York families.
These are horrific crimes, and they're heartbreaking.
They're horrific crimes that are committed on your watch.
Congresswoman, you must be running for governor.
Well, I'm getting a lot of encouragement all across the state, and I'm grateful for that outpouring of support. And the important thing here, John, is it's not just from Republicans, it's from independents and Democrats as well, who have seen that Kathy Hochul has failed New York, and she is truly the worst governor in America. Just look at that hearing that Rita just played. You had a sitting governor of New York State try to defend her record of being a sanctuary state. Meanwhile, you have violent crimes being committed against hardworking New Yorkers. As I pointed out, you've had NYPD cops who have been targeted, violently assaulted, and you had that poor woman on the subway who was burned alive by an illegal here because of Kathy Hochul's state policies. And what was her response? She didn't even know the name of that illegal criminal. She didn't even feign any type of empathy for these New Yorkers who have suffered at her hands. And just today, breaking news today, there was an illegal who had a knife who chased the sitting U.S. attorney for the Northern District down the streets of Albany. That is Kathy Hochul's New York. She owns this because of the failed policies. And she signed the executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times to extend sanctuary state policies.
Elise Stefanik, you know what I've said to Eric Adams? I've been supporting Eric Adams. Why? Because I said to him, if Albany cannot solve your crimes in New York City, Donald Trump and Washington will.
Well, that's because we proudly support our law enforcement, and you have a very strong border policy from this president, and these deportations have to happen of these illegal, violent criminals who are here. Tom Homan, who is, of course, President Trump's border czar, he is actually from my district in the North Country. He is a proud New Yorker. He is working every day with the president to make our communities more safe and secure the border once and for all. But now you have the governor in our home state, on top of the millions of dollars that New York State taxpayers have had to give these illegals because of Kathy Hochul. She went out there and announced $50 million of New York taxpayer funds that are going to be used as legal funds for illegals. Think about that. Legal New York citizens are now having to pay the lawyer fees for illegal migrants here.
Enough is enough. At some point, you got to defend the citizens of our country and the citizens of New York.
That's right. We need a governor who puts New Yorkers first. And what we're seeing in Kathy Hochul is she's putting illegals first, New Yorkers last. She's putting criminals first, New Yorkers last. And people are fed up with it. And, you know, right now, the state of the Democrat Party, you referenced this. We're seeing this play out in the New York City mayoral primary among Democrats. You have a radical communist Marxist who is anti-Semitic, who is one of the top 2 leading candidates. This is unrecognizable to hardworking New Yorkers of all political stripes who realize this is the opposite of common sense. It is radical far left that is destroying our state.
Rudy Washington.
Congresswoman, both Congresswomen, I'm really shocked at some of the things that I hear coming out of people's mouths. Defund the police, the protection of, getting arrested at ICE centers, protecting illegals. Like she was just saying, someone burned to death, set on fire. I'm just shocked at what people are saying. 3 to 4 years ago, Kat, you would never hear anybody saying some of the things they're saying.
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Congresswomen, both congresswomen.
We have Nicole Maliotakis with us.
In the studio.
The great congresswoman.
And where does this come from? The FBI Director Patel. Is there any way that President Biden got 81 million votes in 2020? I don't know.
You mean to say he got more votes than Obama?
Yes.
Yeah. So
more votes than Reagan?
Did you hear this, Congresswoman Stefanik, that it came out yesterday? You probably did. The mail-in, right. What do you make of that?
Yes, I mean, this is deeply, deeply disturbing. We have been very concerned about the Chinese Communist Party's attempt to influence our elections, the attempt to influence people, including in Kathy Hochul's office, which they effectively have become a part of. And, of course, that has been in the news. But I'm deeply, deeply concerning. We need to have election integrity. President Trump is exactly right. And we need that in the state of New York. We need that in the city of New York. Remember, it's the Democrats who wanted illegals to be able to vote in municipal elections in New York City. And Nicole Maliotakis, who I know is on the show, she was one of the leaders that we worked with to defeat that in the courts, and she was very active, and we were proud to work with her. My good friend Nicole is with you in studio.
I know. We have two awesome congresswomen. I love this. Congresswoman Maliotakis.
Well, first of all, I'll say I'm one of those people who would love to see my good friend Elise Stefanik maybe jump in this race, because it would be really refreshing to actually have a governor that puts tax-paying citizens before people who are here illegally committing crimes.
Who fights for America.
And a governor who would not stand with the New York City controller after he attacked a law enforcement agent here in the city of New York. And I know Elise would never do any of those crazy things that we're seeing coming out of Kathy Hochul. In fact, she was on Staten Island a couple weeks ago, and she got a hero's welcome. Because whether it's, her North Country or the southernmost tip of New York, which is, of course, my district, Staten Island, she's well known. She's got great name recognition. But more importantly, it's the values. It's the values of fighting for the people who are law-abiding and wanting to keep citizens safe. That is the basic responsibility of our government. And our governor is not doing it.
And I have to credit Nicole. Nicole has seen the issues in New York City front and center. She has put up this strong fight when she ran for mayor against de Blasio, and has been a key part of building this coalition of common sense, safety and security, affordability, and standing up for American values. And it really, you never thought you could get worse than de Blasio, but boy, these candidates make it seem you can get worse. And Nicole had it exactly right. The fact that you have Kathy Hochul running to one of these candidates' side who assaulted an ICE officer rather than supporting the law enforcement, that is unbecoming of the governor of New York. And again, it's putting criminals first and New Yorkers last.
Well, if John Catsimatidis or I became mayor, I think things would have been better off. What do you think, John?
I love tough women.
This city be doing just great.
I love tough women.
See, by the way, he has 3 tough women now.
I would even take deputy mayor to Mayor Catsimatidis.
I love it.
Before we let you go, Congresswoman Stefanik, I had big headlines today where you're urging the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, to probe Harvard. Talk about that, because you have been, just to Congresswoman Maliotakis' point, such a fighter to defend people and defend rights.
Yes, this is very important. This is about holding higher education accountable. And you all remember that hearing where you had the presidents, now former presidents of Penn and Harvard, as well as MIT, and they failed to condemn anti-Semitism. What's worse, they refused to say that calling for the genocide of Jews violates their university's code of conduct. They said it depends on the context. That hearing set off an earthquake in education policy that was sorely needed, and it's the most viewed testimony in the history of the United States Congress. All of this oversight work we have done, whether it's foreign dollars flowing into these universities or whether it's Harvard's refusal to work with the administration to abide by the law. And this is important for us to know this information, that if they did not disclose this information as required to the SEC, that's a serious, serious legal problem for Harvard. So I am demanding an investigation, and this is part of our oversight to make sure that these schools who receive billions of dollars of U.S. taxpayer funds are not abusing them, which we know they are.
At least what I was going to recommend to President Trump, and I haven't talked to him yet this week, is that if the Chinese government, if all those governments are foreign students, they're paying $60,000, $70,000 tuition, maybe there should be a surcharge of 50%, $35,000 going into to the FBI to start a new subsection of watching college students. Because according to George Venizelos, my chief of staff, who was at the FBI 28 years, they only have 1,000 FBI agents watching 400,000 students.
So how do you effectively surveil that? You can't.
You make a surcharge on the tuition.
No, I'm saying with 1,000 you can't do the job. You can't do the job.
No. First of all, these universities are American universities, and our priority needs to be educating the next generation of American leaders. And it has come to the forefront that the CCP is utilizing our most elite universities to train their next generation of communist leaders. We should not have let it have gotten this far. We need to make sure that we are addressing this national security threat. That's why the president's decisions regarding these foreign visas for students is incredibly important. So I would go a step further to ensure that these are American universities that have predated the founding of our country. They need to get back to America First values and academic integrity, most important, and academic excellence. We want to be teaching skills in academia for our kids to succeed after they graduate, not brainwashing, which is what is happening, unfortunately, at these institutions. And I myself graduated. I was the first member of my family to have that opportunity. It was just a huge honor for my family to be able to have me attend college, and Harvard is not what it was when I was there. It is unrecognizable to me.
Before we let you go, Elise, too, you brought up border and open borders, too. One thing I thought of, and I have to bring it up because everyone is so on edge with what's happening with Israel and Iran, is I worry what kind of a sleeper cell or who's crossed the border, what kind of people on the terrorist watch list. I know it's something that Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis, you're interested. It's so we're so worried. 2 million gotaways under Joe Biden that we have no idea. How concerned are you and how worried are you, not just for New York, but for the country right now?
I'm deeply concerned about the impacts of Joe Biden's open border policies, and we know because of President Trump's executive action that Joe Biden could have closed the border and taken these actions. He chose not to. That was a policy decision they made to have wide open borders, and that was a decision Kathy Hochul has supported. So in addition to the illegals committing crimes against law-abiding New Yorkers, I am deeply concerned, and I represent a border district. Don't forget, many of the illegals, including those on the terrorist watch list, have crossed our northern border in the Swanton sector, which is right along my district between New York and Canada. So I am very concerned about that national security threat that we have internally. And we see that in terms of our briefings that I get on the House Intelligence Committee. Absolutely.
Well, we are so glad to have you here. Future governor of New York there, Elise Stefanik. It's wonderful to have you here, and we wish you so much luck. You got to come back on again soon. You are a fighter, and that's why we love you.
Keep fighting. Keep fighting for what's right.
I will. You got it. I'll be back on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And